Tonight on Oxygen Tango Live, an advanced introduction to Elly Fernandez. That's coming up right now. Welcome back to Oxygen Tango Live. Megan, how are you?
Dave, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. This will be our last show of 2020.
Woo! It's show number 41.
I heard that you had some surprises for our banter today.
I prepared some banter because I was so jealous of yours and Sachin's amazing banter, and I feel like our banter needs a little work, honestly. All right, here we go. Banter item number one. I have a stiff neck because I learned a new way to shampoo my hair that I saw on TikTok, which is that you flip it all the way over so that you can like really get in the scalp, and I think maybe like all the shampoo gets out or something. Anyway, I have been on TikTok way too much, and I also deleted the app today.
You deleted it because you couldn't stay off it?
The algorithm is so good. They can keep you on there for so long. I learned a lot about like skincare tips and hair tips and like what to buy on Amazon. I would like to be buying way fewer things on Amazon. And like how to take care of plants and like spreadsheet tips. There's a lot of information on there.
Spreadsheet tips?
Yeah.
So TikTok has figured out that you like spreadsheet tips and just feeds them to you?
Spreadsheet tips and like cleaning videos and what to buy on Amazon videos.
Is this like Quicken tips or Excel tips?
Excel. Yeah,
got it.
Like formulas and shortcuts.
Oh, that does sound juicy.
My second piece of banter is that I have really been loving. We're watching very slowly Mad Max Fury Road. Highly recommend. It's very quotable. It's nonstop action. It's a great Christmas movie.
All right, well that's our movie recommendation for tonight.
How was that? That still felt a little stilted to me, honestly.
We'll work on it. We'll keep working on it. Maybe we'll do the post-production meeting after the production.
I guess it's not really banter if I just tell you some things.
Well, you know, we're trying different things. It might be. We'll find out later if it was.
All right. Well, should I tell you who we're bringing on?
Yes, please do.
We are bringing on Elly, who is somebody that I met. I actually can't remember. I feel like we came across each other in this Facebook group that was popular for a while there called Tango Dancers for Social Justice. And then out of that Facebook group, a small number of people started getting together to discuss anti-racism in tango and what anti-racist tango organizing looks like, what that means, practically how it happens. So anyway, through that, I came to learn that she's particularly passionate about restorative justice and really practiced with it. Also has a cool tango story. So I'm really excited to have her on the show.
This is probably a good time to mention we are streaming on Facebook and YouTube. If you do decide that you want to get into the chat, we recommend doing that on YouTube. We're not usually checking the Facebook chat. Most of the action happens on YouTube. Megan and I have been alternating doing these interviews, but this time Megan's going to do 2 in a row.
Because I insisted on interviewing Elly.
So without further ado, here is Elly Fernandez. You're on.
Elly Fernandez!
Hello! Hola! ¿Cómo estás?
Welcome to Oxygen Tango Live.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
You look so glowy and wintry.
Thanks. Folks, I did a full face of makeup just for you, and it took me a while longer than I remember it taking.
I am not wearing makeup tonight, but I wore some last week, and I couldn't even remember where mine was. And then I feel like I reverted back to being a 13-year-old because I put on too much, and it was like way too dark.
Yeah. It was a nice act of self-care to like spend time just really giving my body some like love and attention. But I was like, wow, this is taking much longer to just make this one brush stroke and get this one detail.
Yeah, totally. Well, it really paid off. You look super profesh.
Thank you, Megan. You look so fresh and so clean.
Thank you. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this new shampoo method plays out. All right, we have to get right into it because we have a lot to get to, and we have been getting questions in advance for you, which I believe is a first for Oxygen Tango Life. So, first of all, can you just situate yourself in the civilian world and then situate yourself in the tango world for us?
Absolutely.
Oh.
I was gonna say we're in this beautiful Zen garden with on my screen.
Oh. Did I do that? I think that I accidentally switched it and it'll go back here in a second. Sorry.
Well, everybody.
Just a quick Zen garden moment.
Yeah, take a moment to grab your preferred beverage, settle in, take a few breaths.
Did it go back?
We're still in a Zen garden.
All right. Can you see us both? Maybe we just have to be in the Zen garden. I don't.
Oh, here we are.
I'm so sorry. I think I probably messed it up.
I'm just triple checking my background. I'm on a blur background. Megan, if you come close, come to me.
If we restart the call, will it restart the stream? This is what professional television looks like, everybody. Oh, great. Amazing.
Oh,
Okay, fingers crossed. We'll be right back. Great. She was in the other call when you left. Sorry, everybody. I guarantee it's worth the wait.
Okay, do we have...
Great. Are we
back?
Skype wants to take Zen garden. Who are we to question? All right, Elly, situating yourself in the civilian world and then in the
Yes. Great. Perfect. So I am based in Philadelphia, and that has been where the majority of my tango life has taken place. And the majority of my adult life has also taken place. What else do you need to know? I have an internal jukebox, so if you say a random line of something, I probably have a song playing in my head, and I may be singing it out loud.
We've already seen it happen.
Yes, I'm really good for that. Like, when you bring me to parties, I'm great for that.
And you live, sorry, I'm telling, here we go.
Yes.
So you're also a school teacher in Philadelphia, which we'll get into more of that later.
Yep.
Okay, do you live by yourself? Do you have roommates?
Partner? I do. I have two roommates. Oh my gosh, this is like, I feel like this is coming home for Christmas. Like, are you dating anyone? Who's in your life? I do not have a partner, folks. I am my own lover currently.
Yes.
So if you think you can deliver something that I don't already have in my life,
ooh,
go ahead, try.
Eat it.
Ooh. No, I really love what I get to do, and I have two housemates as well who I also met through tango. They're wonderful, wonderful friends, and I'm very grateful to have housemates in quarantine.
Nice. Great. Well, tell them we said hi.
I will.
Okay. Awesome. So let's get into it. Tango Story. How did you come to tango?
I came from a ballroom dance background, and I did a lot of ballroom dance from middle school to throughout high school. And then when I got to college, I was really grateful that my college offered a couple ballroom courses.
Nice. Were you competitive? Did you do competitions?
I did, and placed highly in throughout high school, which was I was like super proud of it. And
what was your like main jam in ballroom? Do you do all of them, or do you have like a main jam? Like my main jam was rumba, or
yeah, I adored rumba. I just found dancing jive so happy making. Like how could you not be happy when you're doing this dance that has so much energy and so much glee? So I loved both of those, and my heart just melted with a really beautiful valse. Like I loved that.
Nice.
Yeah. So I did
Okay,
that,
so you're
and then I got to
ballrooming
college,
along.
and yes, the ballrooming along. I got to college and signed up for the ballroom course. That was my freshman or sophomore year. And my ballroom partner was a senior in college, and we also worked on the same staff. We were both resident assistants, so we were both doing like community building, community planning activities to do fun events for our residence halls, and
Cute.
we were also dancing together.
Were you romancing together?
We were not.
It had to be asked.
Yeah,
Because it's true. It sounded like an adorable rom-com up to that point.
I did tell him to that I would be giving him an honorable mention tonight. So hi, Roberto. Yeah. So Roberto was he asked after one of our classes. He was like, hey, there's this other tango that's different than the one that we're doing in this course. Would you want to stay after class and watch a couple videos on YouTube and maybe try to learn a little bit?
Sounds hot.
And yeah, I was like, sure, great, perfect. And convenient that the studio space is available right after our class. It's not booked. So yeah, let's do it. And I had so many murderous thoughts. It was like not working. My ego took a huge hit. I was like, why can't I learn this? I pick up every other dance readily. Like I can see it and immediately embody it. What the hell is going on? Can I curse on this show?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, great. Yeah, and I was like, it's clearly all his fault. Obviously.
Yeah, has to be.
So we that didn't last very long. I like to think that we valued our professional relationship and our friendship. So maybe, yeah, I'll ask him after the show what his perspective was and if it was similar to mine. But anyway, fast forward a year, and Roberto had graduated, and I took the next level ballroom course and had a new partner and really cherished this partner. And I was like, hey, there's this other form of tango other than the one we're doing. Would you maybe want to stay after class and watch a couple of YouTube videos and try to learn it?
This is the best. That went so terribly for you the last time that you tried it, but a year goes by. And here you are, inviting someone to try and learn tango with you from a YouTube video.
Yeah, see, patterns, like we repeat patterns that aren't working for us. So I broke the pattern, and we met, we tried it, and I was like, you know what?
And so wait, so it went well or it went terribly?
Oh, no. It was like, listen, it went horribly.
Murderous feelings again.
This time I was like, wait a minute, I don't actually want to do this. I really care for this person, right? And this person really cares for me. And like, this is we're both artists. There's another solution to this. Like there's another option that we can choose. So I proposed, hey, why don't we go to an actual class with an instructor, a facilitator to help guide our learning, who can give us individualized feedback based on our backgrounds, our like current knowledge that we're bringing in, and what our communication is and how we can best make this work and have the best kind of experience. So we did that.
Sounds ideal. How
Yeah.
did it turn out?
Well, it went a lot better. We were like, oh, we actually have an idea of what this tango thing is. And yeah, it totally is different than the one we're learning. Like they're totally two different animals. But I am very embarrassed to admit, though I think this is important to say out loud and be vulnerable about, that other people have this experience. My partner and I, after that class, did go to, it was either a practica or a milonga, and we were doing lifts galore.
Yes.
Smack dab in the middle of the social dance floor.
I personally think that the practica and or milonga needs it. Everybody lighten up a little bit.
It happens.
Give some space in the middle.
I know better now. But we had a good time, and like people didn't. We were welcomed back. So
great.
Yeah.
Okay, so Fab, was that it for you? Were you like, bam, I'm done with ballroom, I'm in love with tango now, or how did it go?
No, I was very much, I had commitment issues for a solid year and a half. So once I finally dove in, it was my senior year of undergrad. And I needed to write an undergraduate thesis. I needed to write this 30-page paper on a topic of my choosing. I could conduct a study, or I could do a literature review, or I could conduct a survey. So I pitched to my advisor 2 of my ideas. And one of them was like, I just started learning this new dance, and I would like, if I'm going to spend this whole year writing a really intense research paper, can I write it on something that I'm like really into and not necessarily some cookie cutter like concept of psychology, which was my undergraduate major. And my advisor, to her credit, was like, yes, of course, write a thesis on tango, even though at the time there's only one piece of literature, one study that was done on tango.
So this was your your psych advisor, basically, and you were writing a psych thesis, and you were trying to figure out how to write it on tango.
Yes. Yeah, and I was like, what if I
and there was only one piece of like academic writing about tango at the time?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was like, how can I turn this constraint into a feature? Like, what am I going to write 30 pages about, especially if it's a literature analysis? Because I don't want to do a study in a lab, and I could do a survey, but I'd have to get IRB approval. So I did a bit of a mix. I was able to have an internship and do a hybrid literature review and do some survey work.
Amazing.
Yeah, it worked out.
So what was your thesis? Like, what did you research and discover?
I got to write a thesis all about the sense of community and the sense of belonging that exists in the tango community.
That's incredible. What made you think to do that? Was it something that you noticed right away being in tango spaces? Like, oh, there's like a very like unusual, singular kind of experience of community here, or like what? Yeah, how did you come to that?
Megan, that's a great question. I know I didn't come to it right away. I had a number of mentors at the studio that I interned at, as well as my advisor, who were completely present to support me in figuring out what exactly I was going to write this thing on. It was amazing to have their approval just to get an internship at a tango studio, and do this thing that felt so unique and so different than the norm of my other psych program peers.
So cool.
Yeah, so I know that I had a lot of their help in figuring out exactly what I wanted to write about. And
fantastic.
It eventually settled on that.
So I feel like the rest of this conversation like are kind of the fruits of that initial undergraduate thesis. So much of like what you became interested in and like sort of the path that your life took started here. Would you say that's fair to say?
Yes, very much so. Yeah.
So one thing that I know, so you did your internship. Your undergrad is in psych. So you're doing your internship, also writing your research paper, and you come to realize like I really love writing curriculum, and that came from like starting to write curriculum for Tango classes.
Yes. Yeah. I wasn't quite sure where I wanted to go with my undergrad degree. Um, I definitely felt vastly unprepared for further further careers within the psychology field, and I knew that I needed another advanced degree to feel adequate or adept at anything. So I was very much exploring other career fields, and I began teaching at the studio that I interned at. I was very grateful that they found value in what I brought, and that I found value in what they had to offer me. So I began teaching by the end of my internship, and was very fascinated in how to build a year-long curriculum and how each level of our courses combined in like led into one another and built on one another. So I began writing our curriculum. And
what's your so you're also writing this paper on community and belonging and Tango at the same time.
Oh,
like, is that, oh, you're done with that?
Yeah, that was done. That was my culmination of my undergraduate degree, was that thesis paper. And then I got to teach Tango.
And did the research for that paper feed into how you were writing, I would assume? Yes. How?
Yes. Yeah. Part of my internship also involved conducting surveys, designing and conducting surveys on retention at our studio. Like, what was it that kept people kept people coming to our studio, but what was it that kept them matriculating into the higher level classes? And it was incredibly poignant to be doing that survey design and data analysis alongside my undergraduate thesis, where I was learning about sense of community and belonging. I was like, oh, all these responses that people are sharing are aligned with these findings of community and belonging and the values of each.
And do you remember, I know you wrote this a long time ago, I don't want to put you on the spot, so it's okay if you don't remember, but like, what were the conclusions of the paper? And then like, if there was crossover with the surveys you were doing, do you remember having like any big ahas or big insights that were sort of the core of what you discovered there?
Yes, absolutely. And it's funny you brought this up, because I hit a moment of preparation today that I was like, maybe I should go back and read my undergraduate thesis if I'm going to mention it. So I went and did that, which was really interesting.
You've been easily my most prepared Oxygen Tango Live guest ever.
Well,
and I feel like the interview is just sparkling.
Thanks. Oh, good. I'm glad you feel that way. I feel that way too. So one of the things that we found was a sense of choice and autonomy of learning, that when people came to our studio and they had choice in what they were learning, or their input on their personal journey was valued, that kept them coming back. And this is nothing new now in the career field of education. We call it individualized learning. We call it differentiation. Specific students have something called a individual education plan. So this is not new in the field of education. I think as it translates into Tango, it is more. I'm losing my eloquent words. We can have it more. Like, we know a lot about how choice and collaboration and communication make people feel that their voice matters.
Well, how did that practically show up in your studio, that people had a choice about how they were learning and their pace of learning? And because that doesn't sound super conducive to a group class.
Yeah, it involved a lot of feedback loops. So it was a lot of asking students, how does this feel to you? Does this feel right to you? What would make this feel better to you? A lot.
Meaning like the moves that they're practicing.
Yes. Yeah. Here's
it wasn't like, here's the move, do it. It was like, what does the move feel like? What would feel better?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. Dig.
Yeah. Yeah. What else did we discover? My thesis also focused on the influence that we have in our communities. Like, when we share our voice, does it matter? Do we see change created based on what we have to offer? So that was a point too. Anytime that we had a graduation of our beginner series, we gathered feedback and we said, what worked really well for you in this beginner series? What could make it be even better? I'm digging now. This is
cool. Okay, no, I think that caps it off nicely. All right, so moving right along, because it's already 8:27. So, all right, you're a ballroom dancer. You try to learn tango off of YouTube. It went to shit. You ended up taking a class. Took you a year and a half. You fell in love with tango. You decided to write your thesis paper on tango. You did an internship during tango. You're tango. You love writing tango curriculum so much that you decided to get a master's in education and become a school teacher.
Yeah. Yep. I was like, curriculum writing is a blast. This is really fun to zoom out and see the eagle eye view, the big picture, and then zoom in and see how all the tiny bits connect. So I very whimsically was trying to decide between dance movement therapy and education. And I found a program that would work with my unique undergrad. Like, I wasn't going into a master's of education and a teaching cert program with an education undergrad degree.
Neat. Wait, hold on. Small cul-de-sac. Is there a song that would come to mind when you were to think about one making a whimsical choice between two things? What's the human jukebox say?
Yeah, the song that comes up is "Can You Imagine That" from the new Mary Poppins movie.
Yes, that was a hard one.
Can you imagine that?
Give us a couple more.
Oh my God, what else?
No, not songs. A couple more lines of that song.
A couple more what?
Just a couple more lines, like the chorus or something.
I'm trying to remember it. Something about a bright new shiny toy. Yeah.
Thank you.
I love that one though. That's all about like how unexpected life can be, and you'll find a lot of discovery and a lot of play, and your heart will grow 2 sizes bigger if you simply imagine what something could be, and like, how about that? Can you imagine that? Here I am with a master's in education now.
And you sing like a Disney princess.
That's exactly what my students say when I try to redirect them if they're off topic, and I'm like, Ivana, I just want to hear from Ivana. And then they they're like, Miss, you're a Disney princess and you should have a prince, but just kidding. You're like Elsa, you don't need a prince. That's exactly what they said once.
We'll take it.
I thought that was cute.
Okay, we have to get back on topic. We have to cover, even though I took us off topic. So you decided to become a teacher, and now you're a teacher. And what grade are you teaching? Where are you teaching?
Yeah, I did the program. I got the paper that says I can in fact do the thing. So I am teaching at a project-based public school in Philadelphia, and we have a restorative.
High school, elementary
it's a high school.
High school.
Yes, it's a high school.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I teach students how to read and write clearly, compassionately, and I teach them how to communicate and use their voice so that they can move the movement and be change makers in the world.
Amazing, and I'm going to resist the urge to touch that because we have to keep moving forward because we're getting into our main topic. So the special thing about this school, and it's something that's growing in popularity in many schools, is that it uses restorative justice practices. And it's so hard to actually talk about it without using like kind of punitive terms. I wanted to say like it uses restorative justice practices to like deal with punishment or deal with no. So like tell us what that means, restorative justice. It's a word that I think a lot of people are hearing a lot lately in various places.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see the way that it's gained traction over the last decade. And I'm seeing more schools, more public schools incorporate the restorative justice practices and the process. So yeah, let's define it, right? Because this is going to be our common vocabulary for the rest of this info. So let's define it so that we know exactly.
Teach.
Cool. So restorative justice is an alternative to punitive consequences to negative behaviors. So a lot of schools opt for this process because it is proven to disrupt the school to prison pipeline. So when a behavior infraction happens, instead of a student receiving a punitive consequence such as a detention or a suspension, there is an opportunity for learning and an opportunity to restore a conflict, to communicate, to gain the social, emotional, life skills that it takes to solve an interpersonal conflict, to identify what came up for a person in an incident, what felt like a harm, what was perceived as like what someone may have done that caused a certain reaction, and now the relationship is not at a place of harmony that it once was. So we're coming together. It's called coming together in a circle, and all the stakeholders are there. The person that was harmed, the person that did the harm, and a bystander, that's very important. And then usually a supporter or someone who can be a neutral party to facilitate the conversation, to make sure that everyone is using their words impeccably and finding the words to express themselves in a productive way.
And this is the sort of thing that would take place in lieu of like suspending somebody possibly, or putting them in detention, or a response to a fight.
Yes. Yeah. And the key piece is that this restorative circle is happening centered around the person who was harmed. That their agency and their comfort and security is prioritized. It is prioritized above the person who did the harm. So the person who did the harm is a part of the restorative circle, but that is very much up to the person who was harmed.
And is it always cut and dried? Like who's the harmer, who's the harmee?
No, never. And that is the beauty and the challenge of restorative practices, is that it never looks the same twice. Much like in tango, we do a dance and we can't replicate that dance a second time. That's the beauty of it. It happens.
Yeah, I think that's been the biggest thing to wrap my head around, is that restorative justice, because I thought of all of restorative justice as this like circle process that you're talking about, just this like way that we get in a circle and we try to work out some conflict. But it's actually much larger than that. It's not just like there's not like a specific protocol or a specific process that everybody follows and now we're doing restorative justice. It's sort of like a much bigger picture than that. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So there's some common tools that restorative circles, restorative justice practices, and the process of restorative justice use that are certainly helpful, no matter who is facilitating them, no matter what school they're a part of or what community they're a part of, because our conversation, we're going to be talking about how restorative justice can impact our tango communities. So there are so many resources that if you want to learn more about them, definitely reach out to me online and we can talk about specific ones. But Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg is a fantastic text and tool. There are many courses about it. That is a great tool to facilitate the circle and help people be impeccable with their word, help people be very specific with naming the feeling that they're feeling, naming where it is in their, where they feel it in their body. Like, I feel anger. I feel it by, like, I feel heat on my neck, or I feel tense in my shoulders. And nonviolent communication will say, like, I feel this. This is my feeling. I feel this when this happens. I need this. So it's, in high school, we call them sentence starters. Like, here are sentence starters to help you communicate effectively. So that's one tool. Mindfulness is another one. Embodiment is another one. I know you just had Misha last week, so practicing having an embodiment. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Oh my God. So having an embodiment practice is also a useful tool when you are considering going through a restorative justice process in order to improve, develop, and repair any.
And can you give us the, like, what do you mean, like, have an embodiment process so that you're ready to participate in restorative justice? I feel like it's like, what does that mean, have an embodiment process? Like, it's simple, like, you should be keeping in mind of, like, staying in your body, staying connected to your body and grounded to your body as you're participating in restorative justice processes?
Yes. Yep. That's exactly it. Yep. Having, like, what is your mind-body connection when feelings are coming up for you? And when you are navigating communicating in this interpersonal conflict, what is the feeling? Where do you feel it? What does it feel like? And being very much present in your body rather than detached. And this is particularly great to have a trauma-informed approach to conflict resolution.
Wow, we're hitting all of the major
topics
that we've hit in the last month. This is incredible. Nyan talked a lot about trauma-informed approach last week. Okay, so what the hell does any of this have to do with the Tango community? Why should the Tango community be looking at it? What might it change? How would it show up practically?
Yeah.
And why do we care?
Great. The why. We always have to be in tune with our why before we embark on a new adventure, right? Like, why are we doing it? What's our purpose? What meaning does it have for us? How does it align with our values? So this goes back to my undergraduate thesis. Like, what is a sense of community? What's a sense of belonging? Why is this Tango community something that is so prevalent for us? Why do we keep coming and dancing here? So a sense of community is that it's a place where things matter, where we feel like we matter and we feel like others matter. So we have influence over the future of our community. We know that what we have to share or what we have to offer is valued, and we value what others have to offer. We feel like there's an integration and fulfillment of our needs. And there's a shared emotional connection. And this part is really, really key for why Tango communities should consider restorative justice practices. So the shared emotional connection,
yes,
that was our cat. Our shared emotional connection is when we feel that commitment and that belief that all the members of our community have shared and will share a common history, that we have shared and will share common places, that we have shared and will share time together, and that throughout all these things we have similar experiences. That if something has happened to one person, it probably has happened to more and many others. So that means that a harm done to one person in the community is a harm done to the whole community. that when a harm has been done to one person, it impacts the whole community. And the whole community must make a transformation together in order to improve and develop and repair any conflicts. Like everyone must have a seat at the table in order to use a phrase that began in Philadelphia in our nation's history, in order to become a more perfect union. Everyone must have a seat at the table to go through this transformation process together.
How does that, the first thing that I think of, so like, I have a problem with someone, could be any problem, and I've decided I want to try to like restorative justice this thing out with this person. Mm-hmm. When you say everybody has a seat at the table, does that mean like, there's so many questions to ask here. So does that mean that literally anybody who wants to can show up and like hear all the dirt about the thing that happened to me? Like, can you break it down for me a little bit? When you say everybody has a seat at the table and that harm affects the entire community, like how practically? Like, let's say I have an interaction during a tanda in which I was really uncomfortable and I felt I felt like unsafe for whatever reason. How does that affect the whole community? Why does that affect more than just me?
Yeah, great. So couple questions that I hear in what you're asking is like, who gets invited to be a part of this restorative circle? And why should the greater community care about working to repair a conflict
between two people, let's say?
Yeah. So who gets a seat at this restorative circle? It is the person who was harmed, the person who felt harm. And in this scenario, we're assuming that they felt brave and courageous to come forward and say, I felt unsafe, or I felt like a boundary of mine was crossed, and I want to repair something. I want to improve the situation. I want to make sure that what happened to me doesn't happen to anyone else. So they get a seat at the table, and a facilitator gets a seat at the table. This facilitator must be equipped to help guide this communication, help make sure that they are supported in the way they're communicating what they're feeling and how they would like the process to move forward.
So that's not necessarily just like a tango organizer. Like being a tango organizer wouldn't necessarily equip you to facilitate one of these things.
I don't have a clear yes or no for you.
That's okay.
That answer is more nuanced, and the first things that I would recommend is that a community must have a set of community agreements that they've collaboratively designed. They should figure out who their support staff is at every event that are available to support any kind of infractions that go against those community agreements. A support team that can scan the room and look out for these things as they happen, and a support team that are available to be emotional support for anything that like this that happens. So all of these things should not fall down to the organizer. Okay, that could be like a whole other. Welcome to my TED Talk.
That's a bunch. You've kind of just named some other restorative justice practices that tango communities might.
Yeah. So we're going to say, for the sake of this,
to the like harm part.
Yeah, this hypothetical situation that we're bringing up, we're gonna assume that a collaborative set of community agreements has already been designed and implemented and absolutely saturated throughout all of the communication tools that a community has, saturated through their social media, saturated through their registration, put up on posters around the venue, and modeled and explicitly pointed back to in the facilitation of every event. We're going to assume that happened. And we're going to assume that the resource of a support team of individuals is already in place, and that support system is already in there. So
Got it.
Someone comes to a support team member, says, this is bravely saying this is a thing that happened, and this is how I would like the process of improving this situation and repairing this conflict to proceed. And they would say, this is who I would like at the circle. Maybe they're offered, like, who is an ally, who is support for you that you would like there. And it's very important that at this restorative circle that there is a bystander, if possible, because we know that bystander effect is real, and we know that the impact of bystanders doing nothing is a negative impact on the whole community as well. So we need a bystander to be there to realize that, oh shoot, like that could have happened to me. And how can I use my voice to advocate for others? How can I use my voice to empower others? How can I use my voice to say those community agreements that we collaboratively designed, that we collectively believe in, that we are collectively committed to upholding, like how can I use my voice to support all of those things and continue to make our community improve?
I love that. And it's not really something that I thought about or heard of, this like key role of the bystander. And I would have thought that it would have been so that there's like a neutral party who like saw what happened and like can offer, but it's more than that. It's very much about like starting to empower people when they're seeing things happening around them to know that they're going to be asked what happened, asked to speak on it, asked to be involved. And like, I love it.
Yeah. Yep. It's a super, super important key piece.
Okay. So I just want to recap a little bit. So what I just heard you say, and we went a little bit out of order there. So before a tango community is even ready to be, having a restorative justice circle to actually address harm, there's a ton of steps that have to take to create the culture in order to make something like that worthwhile. And I heard you mention collaboratively created community agreements, that those agreements are as widely distributed and saturated in the community as possible through all forms of communication available, and that the sort of stakeholders in that school, which could be teachers, DJs, people who teach private lessons, front desk people, that everybody is sort of knows what those agreements are and is constantly referring back to them.
Yes. Yep. Someone asked me on my status today that they wanted to hear about my current creative project, and this is it. Collaboratively designing community agreements. This is what I spent my quarantine summer researching, and I had a number of organizers throughout the US and beyond share very, very generously the things that they have done that are a part of this process. So I have to shout out, there are many people in the US and beyond that have done different pieces of this community agreement collaborative design process. So if you're curious about any of those people and the parts of the process that I think they do really, really well, please reach out. There are a number of people doing really amazing things. So what who should be a part of the collaborative design. It should be a equitable representation of the people in your community. And the I would say the most key player that should
and
be.
community for you guys refers to like the whole city of Philadelphia, right? It doesn't mean like this one particular dance school or this one particular like monthly milonga, or it's citywide.
Yeah, so for Philadelphia, this is the point in the process that we are at, is that we've looked at some other models that other communities have used. We haven't announced to our community like the specific point that we are at right now, but we have a lot of inspiration and sources. So for us in Philadelphia, it looks like a collaborative design team from the greater Philadelphia area. So members of multiple communities. You want to create as much buy-in as possible. So you want to have as many people as possible. But this is going to look different from tango community to tango community. So like a different city might not find it the right choice for them for right now to have members of different studios or schools that are a part of this collaborative design process. It might be transformative enough and a productive enough community conversation to have members from one particular school community or one particular studio community. So find what's right for you. For Philadelphia, what feels right for us right now is to have different people bought in from different communities. So that's where we're at.
So,
yeah.
Oh, we have so short time. So how, I'm assuming that there's going to be a lot of pushback. Anything that's worth doing gets pushback of people that just don't think it relates to tango that much, don't think we need it, see that there's a need for change, but don't see this as the particular vehicle, yada, yada, yada. How, and then I'm just going to take this directly from a question that was sent in ahead of the show because it was worded so well. How do we help folks in the community?
Take your time.
How do we move all generations forward with grace and accountability instead of just creating new communities? Like we don't want to just, if the people who dance tango now are resistant to changing things, or like that things need to be changed at all, like what we don't want is to be like, screw you guys, we're going over here and creating our own tango community.
We don't need you anyway.
Ideally, we find a way to sort of bring the whole fam along. How do we do that? I have personally found, I mean, the tango community likes its traditions. It likes things the way that it likes things. There's a lot of resistance to change. There's a lot of clinging to the past, clinging to the way things are. How do we find that balance of this is a good idea, please come with us, versus like, if you don't like it, screw you. Which is sort of the antithesis of restorative justice now that we've been talking about it.
Yeah. How do we do this? Gosh, Megan, you picked out of all the questions that we got in advance. I feel like you went straight for the most challenging, but arguably the most important. So, and thank you to everybody who sent questions in advance. My gosh, Megan and I were like texting about them before. So thank you. How do we do this? So, one is, here we are in this tango pause. So this is prime time to use this time as a point of reflection and to treat this as a robust planning year. That this year can be a year to engage our community partners, that we boost the understanding of what's going on, that we all work to be aware of the current issues, There's a really beautiful diagram. If you Google it about community readiness index, you'll see a diagram that talks about these specific things. And you can reflect on what is the readiness level in your community. Are you aware of things, or is there ignorance on certain issues? And are you at an educational level? Are you, it's, similar to the learning process. Are you at a place of like unconscious incompetence? Like you don't know what you don't know? Or are you at a place where like, yeah, I know that I don't know this, or, okay, I know what needs, like, I know what the issue is and I know what needs to be done. I'm not able to do it yet, but I'm working on it. So Community Readiness Index, feel free to Google. That is a great starting place to reflect and assess, like, where do I feel my community is at in terms of ready to move the movements that need to be moved, or to create the change that we need to create, or to respond to the injustices that we all know are happening. Because you don't have to be a woman to understand that sexism exists. You don't have to be a person of color to understand that racism exists. You don't have to be a member of the queer community to understand that homophobia exists. Like that's where it's at. So then if you're treating this year as a robust planning year, what does that look like? That looks like that inventory of readiness. That looks like creating a common vision of your tango future. There are a number of people that are doing really great work on this. I know Mitra Martin, Corey Ireland, and Meredith are doing the Awaken Tango survey, and they've been putting out a lot of writings on what it looks like to create the future of tango that we want. So there's so many resources out there. And if you are
resources for people telling, also relating their harmful experiences inside of tango and other social dances. The information is out there. So, but what do you do? Yes. What do you do with what do you do with the person who's like, I just want to dance tango. It's not a problem for me. I don't understand what you're talking about. This is not an issue. I feel like that there's a lot of people.
You want my super spicy answer?
Yes, please.
No.
Are you able to go like 5 or 6 minutes over, since we were stuck in the Zen garden at the beginning? Okay.
What a wonderful place to be stuck. Sad to have to get unstuck from the Zen garden. Yeah. So what do you do? What do you do with that person? That's the person that's like, well, what a wonderful power and a place of, what's the word I'm looking for? What I would respond to that person is like, God, wonderful place to be in. Like, automatically I'm thinking of those of us who maybe grew up believing in Santa, and we learned about how we can be Santa, because Santa exists still. So when we learn that we can use this place of like, well, this isn't a problem for me. This may not be something I directly experience. Wow, I have so much. I'm in a place where I can create a better community for this community that I'm a part of. Like, I can amplify voices that need to be heard. I can advocate for others who don't yet feel brave and courageous. I can encourage others to do the brave and courageous thing. There's a wonderful power in that place. So that's what I would tell someone. Like, I'm really glad that you haven't experienced this. Like, good, but like, man, you are in this place that you can you can really speak to and support people who have. Like, what an amazing bandwidth that you can offer. What an amazing way of holding space that perhaps you can offer.
Wow, that's really good.
That's the non-spicy version of what
yeah. I think that's the thing that I have the hardest time with. I get upset really quick, and it does absolutely nobody any good. And you really do. You have to start. You have to start from a place of like good. You have to assume the best. That like, of course, this person wants Tango to be safe for everybody, and for everybody to feel welcome, and for everybody to have a good time. So of course, like, if they know that it's happening for other people and it's just not happening for them, they're gonna want to be willing to do something about it.
Yeah, especially if they can also acknowledge the reality that even though they haven't experienced it, if they can acknowledge the reality that it could have happened to them, or it could happen to them, if they can recognize the common humanity and their own sense of belonging, and realize that their voice matters in the community and that they want others' voices to matter too.
And to get like a little gritty here for a minute, like, what are the things that are going on in Tango that need to be addressed? Like, different Tango communities are at different places on that community readiness spectrum. Where would you put, if you had to put, like, I mean, would you be able to, for all of like United States Tango, where would you put the community readiness? Would you even be able to do that, or is it it's too nuanced from place to place?
I definitely think it's too nuanced from place to place. But what I saw from my research over the summer in researching the community agreements that are out there, that exist, is that the greater Tango community, specifically the U.S. Tango community, the U.S. Tango community recognizes that there is a need for community agreements, and that they are the most effective when they're collaboratively designed, when there's an equitable representation of your community that's designing them, especially if there is a beginner on that design team. That's integral. So the U.S. Tango community knows that, like, we need this, and that it benefits everyone when we have collaboratively designed it. It's just actually collaboratively designing it. There's a number of exemplars out there that, like, individuals have made and said, like, hey, we need community agreements. I took the time to write up a template that maybe your community can use. Here, I published it for free on my website, on my blog.
Yeah.
Use it.
And it's,
so we know it's a need.
And just, yeah. So, and what are the harms that are happening in the Tango community? I don't know that I've heard of a harm in an ism that I have not heard somebody talk about that they've experienced in Tango. I feel like everybody's really on board with the fact that sexual harassment and sexual assault are an issue in Tango. I feel like it's newer for people and less discussed that people are experiencing racism at Tango events. People are definitely
newer for who?
newer for the
newer
majority,
for
possibly. For me, I guess for me, it was not something that I was thinking about before this year. It wasn't something that I would have thought of as an issue or something that was happening much, but it is. And there was a lot of stories, and both on video and on social media, of people talking about it. We know that people are experiencing homophobia. We know that people are experiencing ageism. Yeah, and I think it's just a question, like, are we all okay with that? Like, Tango is kind of known for it in a way.
Yeah.
I'm not okay with that. You know?
Yeah, me neither. I know a number of people that I've had conversations with, that one of the things that are conversations when we're thinking about harms that have been done, they come down to this point where we just nod at one another and we're like, yeah, we're still waiting for the Me Too movement to hit Tango. Like, when's that going to happen?
Yeah.
So that's one example. So
Yeah.
we know that these things, we know that all of the above is
Yeah.
happening. So is that what we want? And can we make it better? Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's this sort of triage of restorative justice, trauma-informed approach, and then I'm not sure what the third is. There's too many. Maybe there's like
Community.
8. Well,
Community ready
Ellie,
the starting
so
point.
have you ever
Yeah.
seen this work? Like either at school or in a tango community? Has it
Yeah,
happened and has it worked?
yeah, I wouldn't be on here. We wouldn't be talking about it if I didn't, right?
Yeah.
Or if I didn't at least believe that it worked. So yes, it works. It works, and I want to encourage people that are currently currently a part of creating this, or a part of seeking more knowledge on it, to like keep doing it, keep doing the thing. It's worth it, and I know it may feel like you're alone in this process of implementing restorative justice processes. It may feel like you're alone in doing this, but you're not. And I'm going to shout out James O, because he gave me this advice, and I'm passing it on to everybody. Like, you're not alone in pursuing this as an alternative option to punitive consequences, or to making your community a better, a more perfect union. James O said, like, find the people who are aligned with those values and that mission and that vision for a better tango future, and really lean into them. So yeah, I believe it works. I've seen it work. If it can work with adolescents who are dealing with the trifecta of adolescence, personality clashes, and probably trauma, like, it can work with adults who are dealing with stunted social emotional growth and personality conflicts and probably trauma.
Yeah.
Like, it can work. We can make it happen.
Wouldn't it be nice? I mean, I feel like right now one of the only tools the tango community has to deal with harm is banishment, like exile, basically.
Yeah. Like, what if there? I want people who are tuning in, and anyone who else is curious about this work, to know that there's another option. Like, there's another choice, and it's worth exploring.
Amazing. Well, you just wrapped it up in a little bow there. Thank you so much. We didn't get to everything that was on the list, but we got to a huge chunk of it.
And thank you to everybody who sent in questions. If we didn't get to the question, I'll definitely be connecting with you, direct message. And if you didn't send a question in advance, like, reach out. I really, really enjoy talking about this, as I think is obvious.
And we've had a couple requests for resources in the chat, specifically the Community Readiness Index. And so I just want to tell people, trying to think of a good way. I will get these from Elly, and I will put them in both the Facebook event and in the YouTube comments on the video, which will be available, to rewatch if anybody wasn't able to watch it live. Thank you, Elly. I feel like we could do like another 2 or 3 of these. I'm so curious to get like into the nitty gritty of, well, what if you had this situation? How would it look now? What if you had that situation? How would it look now? But that's also really hard to do. So, thank you. I just feel like you're so uniquely suited to speak to us on this topic at this time. And yeah, the tango community is really lucky to have you. This is something you've been thinking about for a long time, and that, several of your different interests kind of align to explode into this beautiful supernova of practical advice on how we can move our community forward.
Yeah, thanks, Megan. And just I want to volley the thank you back, because I wouldn't be able to speak about this topic or this work if it weren't for all of the people that introduced me to it, or have coached me through it. There have been so many of you. I can't name you all. I want to, but I'm really nervous because I haven't done this live interview ever before, except for on the radio. But yeah, and I don't want to forget who it is. But all of you who have spent hours texting and calling and like debriefing with me the last 2 weeks, but also over the summer as I did this work, just a big thank you to them, because if all of these people didn't so generously share their experiences and their knowledge and their expertise, I wouldn't be able to talk about it and advocate for it.
Well, thanks,
And
Elly.
someday I'll make a big project about that too.
Well, yeah, I think I'll certainly be looking towards Philadelphia to see, this is something that we certainly want to do at Oxygen, collaboratively with input from the community. And yeah, y'all are sort of leading the way in a sense, and it'll just be interesting to see what happens and what you come up with, and to continue to try to figure out how to do this thing. Make Tango a happier, more inclusive, more equitable place for everybody.
Yeah, please know that we're not experts at it. Like, we're figuring it out as we go along, but we're showing up. And a shout out to Meredith Klein for really creating so many virtual events that are holding our community together throughout this weird ass time that we're living in, including the New Year's Eve event. So if you don't have plans to tune in and listen to some live tango music, please register and do that. You can go to the Philadelphia Tango School, the website, or you can check my personal page. I reshared the link, and their Facebook page, their social media, to figure out how to.
It's a big, like,
register.
global New Year's Eve event with live music from Buenos Aires and going on till 4:30 in the morning or some shit. So.
Yes. Yeah, you can ring in the new year in multiple time zones with friends from all over the globe.
Great. And they can check that out at Philadelphia Tango School and on your Facebook page.
Yes.
Okay, fab.
Let's be together virtually.
Yeah, you got it.
A good riddance to 2020. Until 2021, you have one job. You just have to be better than 2020. That's it.
It's a low bar.
You don't even have to be in like the top 20 of the best years ever. Just be better than 2020.
Yeah. Well, here's hoping. Amen to that.
Yeah, and here's hoping, Megan, that we get to chat about this and geek out about this work in person in 2021.
Hell yeah. Happy New Year, dude.
Happy New Year, dude, to you.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah. Good night.